Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Etheria restart video. So I hope everyone's having a nice 2x event weekend here, farming whatever you need on your account. I'm going hard in the paint on Threshold. As I said in my video not too long ago, I think this is the only thing truly worth farming once you're at my state in the game. I think it's the only thing worth farming for these 2x events for everyone, but I know some people disagree, and that's fine. You farm whatever you want, right? At the end of this thing, I will be doing a gear cleanse video where I talk about the gear that I'm planning on keeping and trashing and all that. So stay tuned for that on Monday. That'll be Monday's video. But today's video is actually inspired by a YouTube comment by John Epic Lepic. And he was commenting on the Matrix Guide video that I had talking about Matrix bonuses. And he wanted to know what was the PvE like meta teams out there that people are using to clear content. Like which shells are they using and what are the Matrix bonuses that they're looking for on those shells, which I thought was a great comment. So thank you for that comment. All of this revolves around your shells. As I've said many times on plenty of my videos, shells are the main thing that you are farming. I'm literally farming shells probably 90% of the time. And then the other 10% is modules at this point in my account. But even prior to me being in the end game, the shells were still around 90%. I was just bouncing back and forth between like GP outposts to level up characters and modules along with the shells, right? So this is where you're going to live. What is going to help you progress the most in this game are these three shells right here: White Fang, Artisan, and Gigabyte. There are other shells that are also quite good on specific characters or in specific dungeons, but I can honestly say that even if those shells didn't exist, I really think you could beat the entire PvE landscape with just these three shells. It wouldn't be as efficient or as easy as utilizing the other ones, but these are the three main shells that you really want to target. Now, if you haven't been able to get up to Nico Nana yet, you really need to farm Phoebe and Fabian. These two shells here, Black Flag and Twilight Knight, are going to be perfectly serviceable. And if you end up having some diamond hearts, they're also not bad. This is a very good shell, and it's a lower version of Artisan, which I just told you is one of the best shells for you to farm. So all three of these shells are pretty valuable. You'll have to level them up. You'll have to roll passives on them in order to, progress to the point where you can farm Nico Nana Hell. Once you're here, I've said it in a prior video as well, you're basically going to farm this for like 2 weeks. You're going to get the perfect kind of things that you need on these three shells, and then you're going to find your progression a whole lot easier. So I've got a long version and I've got a short version, okay? When it comes to the short version, if you want to progress before mixing and matching these other shells, which I'll talk about in the long version, you want 1 copy of White Fang, and you can target any of these gear sets. It truly doesn't matter. I think what you need to do is look at your account and see which modules you have the best of. So if you have a great Harvest and Fury modules sitting in your inventory, try and farm for a Harvest Fury White Fang. That's really all you need to do. This is very, very forgiving, this shell, where Artisan and Gigabyte, you kind of want to target specific things. So 1 White Fang, and then you want 2 Artisans and you want 2 Gigabytes. Now, you can get more Artisans if you want to. There's a lot of teams out there that have showcased like 4 Artisans on a team. So like the sky's the limit. I'm sure you could even do 5 Artisans if you wanted to cheese something. But I think you only need to do 2 Artisans and 2 Gigabytes. Now, when it comes to the matrices that you're looking for on your Artisan, I truly believe that Swift Rush and Time Weave, triple matrix on both of them, is the only thing you need. And I know it's going to take a lot of time. I wasn't even able to achieve this. I only got 1 Artisan that had triple Swift Rush, triple Time Weave. Okay? But but I eventually got it and it does wonders. This time we've set is absolutely busted. Uh, Once you get this up to a 12 matrix bonus, it says you have a 35% chance to reduce the cooldown of all animus skills by 1 turn. This also reduces the skill cooldown of your shells. So it doesn't say it here, but it does do that. So Artisan starts on a 1 turn cooldown, but if you have your Time Weave proc at the beginning of your turn, you have the ability to have your Artisan's shield proc right at the start of the round, which is really cool. But you can throw Artisan on any hero. It doesn't even matter if you need the effect accuracy from the time we've set. You just want it for skill cooldowns of your shell and of your skills. That's the only thing that matters because Swift Rush, speed is so important for PvE. I think the dungeons are a little too overtuned when it comes to speed. Like all aspects of PvE are way too fast, in my opinion. So you kind of need Swift Rush. All the other stuff, in my opinion, outside of Swift Rush is just mixing and matching for specific characters. But Swift Rush is almost mandatory, which is why I'm recommending, these shells because they pair really well with a debuffer, a buffer, a healer, um, any kind of just support shield hero. All of it works with these shells and with these matrices. So triple Swift Rush, triple Time Weave. If you don't want to waste, another 2 weeks, 3 weeks, however long it's taking you to get Swift Rush Time Weave, Swift Rush Unbreakable, Swift Rush Strive, Swift Rush Bramble, that's all fine. Just know that you won't be able to take full advantage of your entire roster if you don't have the Swift Rush Time Weave, because Artisan can go on anything. It can truly go on anything. So yeah, that's what I would target there for Artisan. Now, when it comes to Gigabyte, I think Gigabyte, you want the same thing, which is at least one that has Swift Rush Time Weave, because this is great on debuffers, crowd control heroes. Like I have this on my Kachi the Guard, and I have a Gigabyte or my Artisan on like a Kazuyo the Reverie, which is a debuffer for my Doki Doki runs. I can also put a Swift Rush Time Weave on my healer, like someone like Mia, who does big heals, because even though I'm not taking advantage of like a Wellspring or a Cure set to benefit the heals from Mia, what's more important to me is her having more turns and her reducing the skill cooldowns because her skills are that good. The other nice thing is Gigabyte doesn't even have a cooldown. So anytime the boss goes 3 times or their minions total, you get a 30% boost, which is even more quote unquote kind of speed. So if you have one of those shells with Swift Rush Time Weave, it's perfect. The other Gigabyte that you'll want is like a Swift Rush Wellspring or a Swift Rush Cure, because you're going to slap this on your healer or your support, which also probably benefits from HP. Someone like a Tiamat, someone like the new Fusho or whatever, the hollow hero that puts up, big shields and then turn meter boosts. You can also slap, a Swift Rush Wellspring on someone like Chiaki the Echo. You can basically put it on anyone. But I think Swift Rush Time Weave is, again, still the best bet there. So that is the short story, right? You just need 1 White Fang, 2 Artisans, 2 Gigabytes. You're looking for Swift Rush Time Weave, and then Swift Rush Wellspring or Swift Rush Cure. And you're going to put those on literally on your debuffers, your buffers, your healers. Every single person can utilize those 2 shells, and then your damage dealer will be on White Fang, and you're going to be able to use that like strategy to clear at least like 80% of the content. Now, when it comes to pinpointing different strategies, this is where your heroes and all of those things matter a little bit more. targeting a supernova is really, really strong for the Aurora dungeon because this 30% increase to your healing is extremely important to breaking the shield that Aurora puts up on your team. It's called this Curse Shield, where it absorbs an equal amount of healing and reduces damage dealt by the affected unit. Now, I forget what it is like on the lower stages of Hell, but in Inferno, you have to break through 10,000 HP of healing to actually break this. So one of the great ways to help you do that is by farming that Supernova Shell in Sharon, which allows you 30% additional heals for 2 turns. This is a great shell to put on Ling Luo, who everyone gets for free. It's like kind of best in class. And you should follow the same kind of mindset for your Supernova as you would with your Gigabyte. So I think a Swift Rush Cure, a Swift Rush Wellspring, or even a Swift Rush Time Weave is perfectly fine. Now, I know it seems counterproductive to put a Swift Rush Time Weave piece on like a Ling Luo, who again doesn't benefit at all from effect accuracy. But her looping back around to her 2 heals, because she has 2 of them on her kit, is way more important than getting the HP bonus or the healing effect from Cure or Wellspring. Because you can just stack a bunch of HP from your Swift Rush sets, right? You can have your whole right side be HP percentage, and you're still getting enough heals from your Ling Luo. I'm pretty sure Ling Luo doesn't even heal off of her HP, so it's even more reason to run Swift Rush Time Weave. If you have Swift Rush Wellspring or Cure, it's also okay because the healing effect does benefit, and the HP is good for Ling Luo to be tanky enough to stay alive and keep healing. But that is a very, very good shell to farm for that instance. Now, when it comes to Dark Moon, I think Dark Moon is good, and she has very similar matrices to Gigabyte. The thing with Dark Moon, though, is even though you're extending the duration of the debuff that you put up, this is honestly more of a PvP shell. Because you get additional effect accuracy at the beginning of your turn, it also deals damage. This, like I said, it's more of a PvP damage dealing set. However, if you got lucky, maybe the first few times that you farmed Sharon, you were able to drop like a Swift Rush Time Weave set, that's perfectly fine to throw on a debuffer like a Kloss or a Viper, right? RC77, a Rin, anyone that puts up like attack down, speed down, defense down, any of that, Dark Moon is perfectly fine. You're still looking for that Swift Rush Time Weave though, because your debuffers are certainly the ones that you want to have loop back around to their skills, and they get the additional benefit of the effect accuracy. Now, Halloween, I've talked about Halloween in a separate video. This hero or this shell is perfect if you are running the cooldown reduction team, which I've talked about in its own video. It's that good. There are 3 heroes that do this. You have Tsukiyomi, you have Kazami Kazuyo, and then you have who's the third one? Mia. And then you have Mia. They all have a skill that reads something like this: reduces all allies' animus and shell skill cooldown by 1 turn. So very, very strong. Halloween allows you the chance to reduce the cooldown of 1 random skill by 1 turn. So Tsukiyomi, Kazami Kazuyo, and Mia all have the ability to reduce everyone's skill cooldown by 1 turn and their shell skill cooldown. So I think they work perfectly on Halloween because they want to loop back around to those abilities like highest priority, more so than going more often with like Gigabyte, because I know with Gigabyte, you can still advance your turn and get more turns. But because Halloween has the Swift Rush Time Weave capabilities to do a 12 and 12 set. I told you that the Time Weave matrix bonus also reduces the skill cooldown of a shell. So even though this is on 3 turns, every single turn you'll have a 35% chance to reduce this skill cooldown as well, which then in turn allows you to also reduce the skill cooldown of the AoE skill cooldown of shells and animuses from your Mia, Kazami Kazuyo, and Tsukiyomi. Other heroes that you can put this on, there are heroes like Doki Doki, there are heroes like Lily, who also do some kind of animus skill cooldown. They don't really reduce the skill cooldown of the shell itself, but this is another great shell to put on them too, if you happen to pull those heroes. But like I said at the beginning, the only 3 shells you truly need are the Gigabyte, the Artisan, and the White Fang. Because, yeah, you can slap a Halloween on those heroes, but if you don't have them, a Gigabyte's going to work perfectly fine on any of the other heroes. And also, if you don't want to farm for a Halloween because you already have a Swift Rush Time Weave Gigabyte, it's going to work perfectly fine on those 3 heroes that I mentioned. It truly will. The Golden Lion, I think it needs just a slight buff, but it is a good shell. I think it's just outclassed by a couple of these other heroes. All right. Now, when it comes to Shadowflame Hoyon, there's 2 shells that are pretty good here. One is Jackal Guard. However, I do again think that this is more of a PvP related shell because right now there are a couple of heroes that do AoE speed up. Most people are running them to complete PvE content. And if you're not, Jackal Guard is going to be great. However, whenever it comes to PvP, a lot of times your speed booster and your AoE speed hero will get banned, which is why putting a couple of your heroes on Jackal Guard is really great because you still get the speed up boost and you get a turn meter boost. And if you look again, Jackal Guard has the Swift Rush Time Weave set. This is, I'm telling you, this is the only thing you really need to look for every single hero. Swift Rush Time Weave, it is that good. If, again, you don't want to just search for Swift Rush Time Weave and you just want to play the game, as long as you're getting triple Swift Rush, you're going to be fine. Get the other things, but if you want to make your life easier, spend the time to farm up the Swift Rush Time Weave. Jackal Guard, just like Halloween, just like Gigabyte, all of the same heroes are going to be on those shells. They're completely universal. Every single hero can wear it. So if you're wondering who to put this on, it's the same people that you're putting on your Gigabyte and the same people that you're putting on your Halloween. Now, Revelation is the step up from White Fang if you have a multi-hit hero, and there's a lot of them. So this is kind of being abused right now, but at the time of this recording, if you can take advantage of it, why not? So if you look at a hero and on their skill kit, they have multi-hits, Revelation is just extremely abusive. The way that this reads, this shell, is every time you crit, and I mean every time, not every skill, every hit on your skill, every time that skill hits with a crit, you have the potential to do 12% damage max HP bonus. So if I didn't explain that clearly enough, whenever your damage dealer crits, let's say they hit 3 times, the first crit hits for like 10,000 damage, right? Revelation then procs and it calculates your attack percentage versus the HP value of the enemy. Whatever that percentage difference is, you will then do bonus damage. Let's say it was 8K, right? So instead of doing 10,000 damage on the boss, you now did 18,000, 10,000 from your original hit, and then the 8,000 bonus damage from Revelation. But if you have a multi-hitter, like I just showed with Yelly, Yelly is doing 10,000 damage on the first hit, plus 8,000 from Revelation. Then the second hit, another 10,000, plus another 8,000 from Revelation. Plus the last hit, which is another 10,000. So she did 30,000 from her total skill. But then Revelation also added 8,000 times 3, which is another 24,000 damage. Absolutely nuts. So Revelation is going to be perfect on any hero that has multi-hits on them. And the other thing that you want to look for is if the cooldown is the same as Revelations. Revelations cooldown is 3 turns to have that ability proc. So anytime you have a hero with 3 turns, you most likely, especially if they have more than 2 hits on their skill, you're going to want to use Revelation on that hero. There's a couple other examples. Freya. So even though her skill cooldown is 4 turns, she does a 4-hitter. So she will be doing a lot of damage from Revelation. There's also a possibility to reduce her skill cooldowns with like Halloween, with skill cooldown reduction from Tsukiyomi, Mia, all of those heroes, Doki Doki, Lily. Other multi-hit heroes are people like Rosa. So she has a 3-hit here, but then she also does a follow-up if you end up critting and landing the Blade Heart Bloom. Everything within that turn that Revelation procs will do the additional damage, which is why Yeli's also very good, is because she does a 3-hitter here, but her passive says when she crits, she follows up with her single target hit. And this can proc up to like 4 or 5 times. So you're not just hitting 3 times, you're hitting possibly 8 times with Revelation procking all 8 times. I hope you guys are getting that. So that's where Revelation's going to come in. If you have a multi-hit hero, and there's a lot of them, Shiata, Rosa, Yeli, Freya, even Kazuya the Reverie, right? Which is a SR that people usually use for sleeping. You can throw her on a Revelation set as long as you build a 100% crit rate, because this only activates if you crit. That's really important. But this is the same kind of mindset as White Fang. You're going to look at your gear sets and you're going to see if you have better Onslaught gear, if you have better Harvest gear or Fury gear. And those are the matrices that you're going to be targeting. The other 2 shells in here, they're really not meta. They're more PvP. And then the last shell that is important is in Rengokutsu, and this is Codex of Magic. I think a lot of people know about this, but if you don't, it's basically a complete reset on a skill that you did. So this is used more so for speed clears. This is whenever you want to get more consistent fast times so you can do more multi-runs than what you're currently doing. All this does is, like I said, if let's say you have a hero like Holden, right? Holden has this really good skill where he strips 2 hits and then he puts attack down and res down on the enemy. Let's say you didn't want to wait 5 turns on to activate this skill again. You could put a Codex of Magic on Holden. At the beginning of the round, he will use his skill 3, and then Codex of Magic will proc, and then this will come off skill cooldown. So then you can use it again. After that, though, it goes on an 8-turn cooldown. So it's really meant just to be like a quick, I'm killing the boss in 2 or 3 turns. This is also great on crowd control heroes. So people like Obel, people like Kazuya the Reverie, people like Kraken. It's great on daughters. So like Obel, like Fangus, like Shadow Sonya. It can even be used on healers. Like if you want to put a Codex of Magic on someone like Mia, who I've said multiple times has probably the best skill 3 in the entire game, like just using this skill 2 times in a row might be enough for you to win the game, because you're reducing all of your Animus skill cooldowns and shells twice in a row. So everyone uses their big nuke. She heals everybody, reduces skill cooldown. It comes back around to her. She heals again, reduces skill cooldown, and then you probably get to nuke again. So that's where Codex comes in. And Codex only needs to be in the Swift Rush. So you don't even have to look for the other things at this point. For progression, like I said, all of this stuff kind of changes once you start talking about PvP. But from a PvE perspective, you just need whoever is going first, to strip buffs, to put up defense down. This is also great on like Kloss or Dyna, where you really want to land those debuffs. And if they didn't land it on the first turn, maybe they'll land it on the second time around. But yeah, the Swift Rush is truly the only thing that matters. And the nice thing is once you beat Hell for the first time, the game drops the Codex of Magic for you. So it gives you a free shell, so you don't have to farm it as much. But yeah, guys, that's kind of the things that you should look for. Okay. In summary, just those first 3 shells at a Nico Nana, 1 White Fang, 2 Artisans, 2 Gigabytes. You're looking for Swift Rush Time Weave all the time on all your support shells. So if it isn't a damage dealing shell like Revelation or White Fang, you're looking for Swift Rush Time Weave, or you're looking for like Swift Rush Cure, Swift Rush Wellspring, anything like that. But the Swift Rush Time Weave is best in class, long story short. And then whatever I said about the other shells. Okay? That's all I got for you. I hope you enjoyed. Good luck grinding, and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.